Wow. They say he's dead. They're saying he's dead. First of all, Rabbit, thank you, and everybody else that hit me up. Oh yeah, we got to find a live feed. So they're saying that he is deceased. Oh shit! The only thing is like, so okay, are we live? Okay, we're live. Maine shooter. Okay. Dead. So that's on the live. Sure, that's a good question. On the live, let me pull up a news channel. Can we get a news channel?
Using that language throughout the evening here and for the duration. I want to put up this tweet though, and get you to respond to this. So, John Hudson.
No, we're not talking about Israel right now. I know that's a big deal. I know, but hold on. Oh, they're not even reporting on this shit yet.
6-year-old Joe Walker, a manager at the bar, the scene of the second attack, shot twice while charging the gunman with a butcher knife, dying while fighting to save others. His family in mourning tonight, like 17 others in southern Maine. Their stories connected by unimaginable loss while the killer is still on the loose. NBC's Sam Brock reports.
Police tonight have fanned out across the area of Wednesday night's mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine. The search for suspect Robert Card taking place from the air, on the ground, and in the water.
We don't have him located at this point. We don't have him in custody.
And authorities acknowledge they don't even know if Card is alive or dead. Divers scouring the Androscoggin River for evidence or a body.
I'm not saying that the suspect, we know the suspect is in the water and this is what we're doing. What I'm telling you is you're going to see a lot of activity here.
Police also searching homes and dense woods throughout the region, worried their suspect
News
could
conference
be
at
hiding
10,
out.
guys.
The longtime Army reservist is the sole suspect in Wednesday night shootings that left 18 people dead and more than a dozen others injured. The first at a bowling alley where officials say police were on scene within 90 seconds of receiving a 911 call. The second at a bar and grill where they say police responded within 5 minutes. Diana Getchell watched hell unfold at the bowling alley.
Maybe 30, 35 seconds so before the first shot and the second shot. And after the second shot was a third shot. And as we're running down, it was a fourth and fifth.
Getchell and her son, Chad, narrowly escaping the massacre with their lives, as she says Chad ushered people out.
It was just terrifying. Terrifying. I've never been so scared in my life. I was afraid to look back. I was afraid he was going to be behind us, to shoot at us. It was just so awful. And my son was I swear he saved my life.
Authorities say they've received more than 530 tips and interviewed 70 witnesses the first night, but there was no answer to questions about Card's family statement to NBC News that they raised concerns about his mental health to both police and military.
Which agencies received those warnings, and did you think at any point that it might warrant a yellow flag pursuit?
Well, I'm heavily involved in the yellow flag conversation overall, but the reality for today is I'm not going to talk specifically about who knew what and when. There will be a time.
Can you confirm warnings were issued?
I cannot confirm that.
City Councilor Linda Scott has lived here all her life.
I had people reach out to me last night that wanted to do a vigil last night. We can't. Our priority right now is the safety of our community.
It's also a community coping with a still deepening investigation, where we've now learned authorities are looking at the possibility that the suspect didn't randomly target Schmeggy's bar, but believed a female acquaintance may have been there, according to law enforcement sources. Police also saying Card's cell phone was found at his house and may have been left there during the shooting. And that a note he left behind listed his financial records.
Crazy, man.
Angela Addison lives right down the street from one of the shootings. She's confident Card will be captured and is grateful tonight to be alive.
At any point, does it go through your head that could have been me if this were a different night?
Oh, absolutely. That could have been anybody. That was people that our kids could have been there.
And Sam Brock joins us now from Maine. Sam, that shelter-in-place order was just lifted. Why? Are they still searching those areas?
He's found dead.
So that's a great question. The search continues in all 4 of those towns right now, Gabe, that were under shelter in place. They still are, actually, until tomorrow morning. And I asked the commissioner of the Department of Public Safety here in Maine, so why did you lift them? And he said they have to make this calculation, pluses and minuses, that families need to get their kids to school. Certainly, people have to get to doctor's appointments, go to jobs, and be able to earn money. And so they have this sort of risk calculation and decided that the elevated risk had come down enough in terms of finding card in this area. They wanted people to be able to resume some semblance of their regular life. Gabe.
Sam Brock live for us in Maine. Another long night there. And for more on this ongoing manhunt, I want to bring in Jim Kavanaugh. He's an NBC News terrorism analyst and former ATF special agent in charge. Jim, this is a sprawling search. Law enforcement dealing not only with these dense woods, but now a river too. So walk me through what obstacles they're facing as we head into the 3rd night of this manhunt.
Yeah, well, Gabe, they don't have any technology to track him. He ditched his cell phone. They certainly have the wooded area to deal with on foot. That's always a challenge. The water, they'll search that water. I doubt they'll find him in there. Sam's package there was just chock full of information. So much information in there that was in those few minutes. Look, that witness he interviewed, it tells you how he's doing his shooting. He's aiming at the people. He's taking careful aim. He has a scope on the rifle. And you heard the witness say, I heard a shot, and felt like 30 seconds later till there was another shot, and more time and another shot. This guy is not going in there spraying bullets. He's got that rifle up. He's got the scope, and he's killing the people. And that's why the carnage is so high. That's why he's got 18 dead, because he's taking careful aim. And that witness tells you how he's doing it. We knew what he did, but now that we kind of get the method, and I'm sure they have that on the video at the bowling alley. The second thing, Gabe, I would note about the note, and Sam reported on the note. And there was reporting that he might have been after his ex-wife. This is critical information. Wow. When a killer goes out like this and he goes to 2 locations, he's on a mission. He has a reason. A motive, a reason for what he's doing. And if that reason was to kill his ex-wife, which could very well be, I was the deputy commander in a DC sniper, and Mohammed's motive was to kill his ex-wife. That's why he came to Rockville, Maryland, and killed all 11 people over there. So if that was his mission, to kill his ex-wife, I would expect that he is not deceased, that he's still alive, because he hasn't completed his mission. And
So that video that's playing right now, this video is old. The latest news is that he's found deceased. Well, and I don't know what the conditions are. How he there's a 10 p.m. press conference. Mass shooting suspect found dead. Okay, they said they're on the way to the scene, so maybe we can get some video out there. Yeah, we need some live feed. This NBC one's kind of outdated. Let me check for other feeds real quick. Agenda Free TV. Well, what is he watching? Does he have a live feed somewhere? I don't want to just stream his stream, but if he's watching a particular news channel, we could do that. Wow. So, I guess, are you surprised? A coward and a piece of shit can kill the child too, right? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And some weirdo shit, which are fucking your hearing aids, thinking other people are talking shit about you, so you go wipe these people out. So, I still don't get if it's like, let me see what he's playing. I don't know. What is he playing? Damn, he's been on 7 hours. That guy don't sleep. Yeah, I thought I'm tired, all this stuff. Agenda guy, this guy, damn, bro.
Where's the
he's tweaking.
near the car?
Okay, so he's just looking at the map.
Nearby. Recycling. Maine Recycling Corporation? Here? Lisbon Falls Redemption Center?
All right, they're trying to find the location, and that's what I want to know too. Where was this car found? I mean, I guess we're gonna have to wait till 10.
You about has been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities had been conducting a massive manhunt since the shooting on Wednesday night. The man you see there on your screen, police tell us, is 40-year-old Robert Card. They had listed him initially as a sort of a person of interest, and then as the search went on, a suspect. You see him here. Police say this was pictures of him as he entered that bowling alley Wednesday night. There were two areas where the shooting happened Wednesday night. There were these pictures taken from the bowling alley, and then there was a bar about 10 minutes away where people were killed. 18 people in all that we know of right now are dead, and there are many more injured. But the search went on for 3 days, and there was a lockdown. All these towns in and around the area had been locked down, and people obviously on edge. This was the worst mass shooting that they've seen there, I believe, in Maine's history. It's the worst one that we have seen this year so far, and there are more than 500 mass shootings this year so far. These pictures you're seeing are of Robert Card that were released to us by the police. We learned a little bit more about him as the search went on. There was talk of some mental health issues. But again, in terms of a motive, police have really not given us much. They've just been keeping us up to date. Earlier in the day, we saw our Trevor Ault, who was up there in Maine covering this for us. And yesterday, Whit Johnson, just around this time last night, police had thought maybe they had found him in one of the homes connected to him, and we actually watched. It was quite riveting and dramatic, where they were saying over, a loudspeaker, "Robert Card, come out. We know you're in there." We watched that for about an hour and a half last night, and it turned out that he wasn't in there. And there was some speculation that maybe he had taken his own life because, as our Aaron Katersky was first to report, there was a suicide note found in his home, and there were some random writings on there. Aaron had reported that there were some numbers that might have been a bank account just in case he was gone for his son. But what we do know is there was a suicide note, and then people began thinking, okay, if we haven't been able to find him up until this point, maybe he did take his own life. And now we're hearing our Aaron Katersky has been talking to sources, and we now know that his body has been found.
Somebody said he went to his old job, recycling center. His old job? Huh?
Has been found dead in Lisbon, Maine. We're told he was found dead at a recycling center not far from the river where his abandoned car had been discovered with a weapon inside. And the authorities are about to give a news conference a short while from now to detail the extensive search that led to this discovery. Phil, there had been a focal point along that riverbank today with hundreds of officers and a number of divers even in the water. Turns out he wasn't in the water. He was at this recycling facility in Lisbon, Maine. It's possible he may have worked there, was fired from there. Authorities still haven't quite noted the relationship, but he is importantly dead after more than 48 hours of a manhunt.
And no doubt everybody in that area is going to be breathing a sigh of relief. Even though they lifted sort of the lockdown orders earlier on today, he hasn't been found. 18 people are dead. There are many more injured. Why don't we, for our viewers who are just joining us right now, let's go back to Wednesday night when this started. If you have to talk to sources, I can. Let's go back to Wednesday night when this happened. This was horrific in nature. and it just grew from one shooting to a second area, and then a shooter on the run and lockdowns. Take us back to Wednesday night.
Wednesday night was an awful night. There was a kids bowling league underway at a local bowling alley in Lewiston, Maine, when the first shots rang out just before 7 p.m. Eastern time. There was a second shooting scene at a bar and grill. 7 people dead at the bar at the bowling alley. 8 people at the bar and grill. 3 people died at the hospital. We learned today the victims ranged in age from 14 years old to 76 years old. And the most confounding part for law enforcement was the shooter had disappeared. They found his car pretty quickly at a boat launch in Lisbon, Maine, about 8 miles away from Lewiston, but they still didn't know whether he was armed, and they considered him armed and dangerous. They locked people in their homes. They closed businesses for a couple of days out of an abundance of caution because they didn't want anybody else to get hurt. There had already been too much carnage. The search expanded well beyond Lewiston. There were several communities that were placed on lockdown. Even border authorities in Canada had been put on alert. But tonight, after that extensive search, authorities found Robert Card dead, we're told, of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Well, he used the word confounding because we spoke to a lot of experts in these types of situations, and they say usually 24 hours it takes or so to find someone in a shooting like this, if they're still alive. And this is what was sort of continuously terrorizing people in that area. This horrific shooting had happened, and then today it's been 3 days.
They weren't allowed to grieve, let alone leave their house to try and congregate with one another. And it was quite scary for many, many people because they had been told by the authorities that this person was armed and dangerous. And look, he had killed 18 people and they didn't want anybody else to get hurt. So they did keep businesses closed. It was a ghost town in and around Lewiston for a good couple of days. Those lockdown measures were rescinded. And the authorities had found a suicide note, as they described it to us here at ABC News, and that may have given them an inkling that the suspect could well be dead. So they were able to rescind those lockdown measures. That suicide note, we're told, was addressed to Robert Card's son. It did not contain any information about a motive, but it did contain some information that was rather mundane, bank account information and the like that could perhaps help the son in the event of his father's death, and that's now what we believe has happened.
Aaron, do we know how far this area where he was found is from the shooting scenes?
It's about 8 miles away or so, and it's believed that he had some employment connectivity to the recycling center area where the body was found. The portrait that the family, we're told, has been giving police is of a deeply troubled individual, clearly in declining mental health. The sister of Robert Card told authorities she believed he may have been targeting an ex-girlfriend initially at the bowling alley. That was her first thought when she heard about the shooting, its location, and her brother's alleged involvement. Whether that turns out to be true or not, we don't know. The authorities still haven't said anything about motive. But 18 innocent people lost their lives, and now the gunman, Robert Card, has been found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to law enforcement sources.
And there was an incident a few months back where he had made some threats and worried people.
He has a military history, been in the Army Reserve since 2002, quite a long time of service. And he was at a training facility for West Point cadets north of New York City when, and that was this past summer, when some of his colleagues said he was behaving erratically. He had threatened violence against some of his fellow soldiers, it appears. And because of that, there was an intervention, and he was treated for 2 weeks in a military facility. Eventually, he was discharged from that facility. Whether the Army ever told authorities in Maine, and whether that warning, even if they did, would have been specific enough to take away his weapons, is still something that the authorities are investigating.
You know, and while they have said nothing about motive, it's clear even from his family that this man was deeply troubled. But there are a lot of deeply troubled people who don't do what he did. And so now begins the conversation. And it already started, I think, within 24 hours of this horrific shooting Wednesday evening about gun control.
Because the country has become I think numbingly used to these kinds of shootings occurring. It used to be, even as recently as 2019, there were about 400 mass shootings a year. Now there's 600 a year, and that number continues to grow. But it is a country awash in guns with ready access, especially in a state like Maine. And here, the deadly combination that we've seen before of apparent mental illness and ready access to weapons.
Yeah, and in this type of powerful weapon, we already saw one lawmaker in Maine sort of flip-flop on his position. He had already, if you guys can remind me of his name, he was very much against any kind of gun control. He's a conservative Democrat, I believe, and he just yesterday said that he now thinks it's time that we go ahead and ban AR-15 style rifles like that. And the thing that you talk to, gun experts will tell you the power of this gun, the power of the round that comes out of this gun. Most of the time it's a .223, and it is a very powerful round. And time again after shootings, and unfortunately many of them have been in schools, Newtown. I was there, and this style weapon was used, and the damage it does is just, it's mind-boggling. So much so that hunters don't really even hunt with it because it does so much damage to what it hits. And so there will now be this national conversation, as there is almost every time there is a mass shooting, of what should we do with gun control? And people go to their corners. You hear some in the country say it's just about mental health, and you hear some in the country say so much just about guns. Aaron, we have Brad Garrett standing by, who we talk to a lot of times in situations like this. Brad, I want to bring you in because you had mentioned this earlier on today in part of our coverage. You had sort of floated the thought that he might not even be alive anymore. This doesn't surprise you, this ending?
Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at the motive of mass shooters, and it varies, obviously, as to what drives them to commit the shooting, but the point being, they're all suicide missions. They know that they're likely going to die at the scene, either at their own hand, or they force law enforcement to kill them. This case doesn't appear to be, even from the front end, from Wednesday night when we were talking about it, that anything was probably different. Then we have the suicide note that Aaron's talking about that, even took me further of, likely this guy's not alive. And after the suicide note, I said, this guy's just not alive, period. And it may take a while to find him. So it's just one of those things that go.
There is a press conference at 10 o'clock. Press conference at 10 o'clock. All right. I'm very curious what they're going to say. They say it's a self-inflicted gun wound. The mod stuff, guys, on this second channel, don't worry about it. I don't want things. People feel like they have to control everything. I want to have an open chat. Until they start coming from me, then it's North Korea. But relax. We don't need 1,000 mods. Okay.
And everyone else was just there, and he's angry, so they're going to get hurt. He in his mind, he's not
Happy
shooting
Friday.
Human beings. He's shooting things that he believes are against him, which makes no sense, obviously. But if you're delusional and you have revenge in your heart, it doesn't matter.
Brad, Aaron is sitting with me and has some new reporting.
We know that the body of Robert Card was discovered at a recycling center in Lisbon, Maine. This is not far from where the authorities discovered his vehicle, the white Subaru with the black bumper on the bank of a river at a boat launch.
Okay, we're going to be switching it up.
Found. Is there any kind of movement? Is there any kind of gathering where you are right now? I see some cars behind you. They look like emergency vehicles, but can you kind of set the scene for us where you are?
Yeah, of course, Megan. Route 196, we're actually standing here at the McDonald's. My photographer, Jack, and I, we actually visited this McDonald's. It's about the only place in town open for food service. We were here about an hour ago. All was quiet. There was a line of cars in the drive-thru, and now this scene has become very much alive. Of course, a lot of media flocking to the scene now. We see some folks back here to our right in this strip mall parking lot with their camera phones out and, garnering attention here in this area of Route 196, as again, behind us here on Capitol Avenue, officials are telling us that Robert Card, the suspect in the Lewiston murders, has been found deceased back there at Maine Recycling. So yes, Megan, a very lively scene coming to life as we speak here on Route 196, just outside the McDonald's. And I actually pulled up to one of the law enforcement officials you see behind us, and I asked if we could get any closer, and he said absolutely not. So we've situated ourselves here for now, and we will provide any updates as they come to us, but the scene here is growing as we speak.
And Connor, you've been in Lisbon there for the past couple of days. If we still have Connor, just a final question here. That police scene that we see behind you, that police vehicle, has that been the same road that has been closed throughout the day, or is that a fairly new development here in the last hour or so?
Well, John, Capitol Ave behind us, that was not closed an hour ago. Like I said, we actually came to grab some food here at McDonald's. All was quiet in this area. That road was not closed. We actually went on, we heard some other tips, some other reports possibly. We went driving around this area, and then ultimately we were reported to from some local law enforcement officials. I was reported to that this had gone down, so we returned to the scene, and this is what we found. That's a town of Lisbon. Police cruiser there blocking off Capitol Avenue. And again, this is Route 196. This has been kind of the main strip through town where a lot of activity has gone on over the past 3 days as authorities have searched for the suspect, Robert Card, down at the boat launch, which again is just about a mile down this way. Lisbon High School, where a lot of heavy tactical teams have gathered over the course of the past couple of days for briefings. Of course, the dam is just back here. And again, Androscoggin River, where the boat launch flows into, is behind Maine Recycling and behind us here at Capitol Avenue. So, yeah.
So where he was found is by this recycling center where he used to work at. They also talked about, like, I don't know, an ex-wife or something. And so, I don't know. I guess this guy's been deceased. Probably killed himself off rip. That's what I wonder what happens to those people, like, because they say they hear voices and the voices are telling them to do things. And so I wonder, once they do these acts, do the voices keep talking to him or them or him? Like, do they keep telling him stuff? But it's also more than just, it almost, like, I don't know that it's completely random. Seems like somebody that's, yeah, the ex-girlfriend thing, and then these other people he shot dead that were deaf, and he thought we're talking crap about him. He parked out there and walked.
Safe this morning during their media briefing, talking about how they got a lot of people calling in just saying, I have a shed. This person might be in there. People afraid to even go out into their backyards. And so to your point, a lot of people breathing a sigh of relief tonight that they can finally probably feel safe again to go out into their communities. Let's take a look. I believe we have a picture of that white Subaru that was found at the boat ramp, or that boat launch was found on Wednesday. One of the earliest clues, one of the earliest pieces of information that we had gotten about Robert Card. In fact, it was one of the pieces that led police to identify him, Robert Card, as the suspect, the 40-year-old. We now know his body found just about a mile from here, little under a mile from here.
Not far in from this scene, connected by a walking trail down to Maine Recycling, where Connor reported Robert Card once worked. He was known in that area. And Megan, if you think back to Wednesday night when we were reporting this not long after it happened, we see the map here in in that region. The retired FBI agent we talked with was saying that it was very likely that as information emerged, some of these locations would be known to him, places that he had likely been before, including this recycling facility where it sounds like he worked, according to officials telling us that information. So all of these pieces starting to come together here as we're getting a clearer picture of how this all played out starting Wednesday now into Friday night.
Talking about a clearer picture, information coming together. We're going to go back out now live to Connor, who we're hearing has some new information. Connor, what can you tell us? What have you learned?
Well, Megan, the scene here on Route 196 in Lisbon growing continuously, more media officials, more law enforcement presence arriving as we speak. But again, we have heard confirmed reports that the suspect in the Lewiston shootings, Robert Card, who committed those shootings on Wednesday night, dumped his car about a mile down the road here at the Lisbon boat launch, has been found deceased back behind us here on Capitol Avenue at Maine Recycling. You guys said it. We were reported by officials that he worked there at one point, and that is where law enforcement officials say they have found his body, a self-inflicted gunshot wound, the cause of death. That's what they're telling us tonight. So a very active scene. This is all coming together. It's a scene that we've been here involved at all day in Lisbon, down at the boat launch. We were there earlier. Divers in the water. There were helicopters in the air. There were ground crews scouring the riverbank of the Androscoggin River, which is just back here. And again, the boat launch about a mile up the road here to my left. That's where Robert Card's vehicle was located on Wednesday night.
What's up,
man? An AR-15 rifle inside his vehicle. And 3 days later, here we are. We're being told that he's been found dead back at Maine Recycling here on Capitol Avenue in Lisbon. So a very active scene, still all coming together.
Wow. I wonder if he left anything else at where he was found deceased, because supposedly he left a suicide note for his son, left him a bank account number, had some issues with exes. They must have been watching the news too. And the thing is, it's kind of like a mixed feeling thing, right? Like, it's like, okay, he's found, so like, great, he's found, but he's dead. And so I guess you're not going to get answers. But anyway, when these people are alive anyway and they survive, you don't get answers anyway from them a lot of the times, right? There's no real happy ending, I guess. Just that the public's safer. And that's what I don't understand these people. I don't want to get canceled, but like, if they're going to do some type of shit like this, why not just do it to yourself? I don't get why they have to go wipe out a whole bunch of people, kill a child. I guess that's mental health, though, right? That's what they say, mental health.
To go to a mental hospital where he was allegedly hearing voices and perhaps talking about harming, shooting fellow soldiers, notwithstanding whatever the diagnosis was, the question becomes, was there an effort to find out, does this person have access to guns? And the whole question of whether they should continue to have access to guns. That's going to be the dominant question that many people are going to ask. What happened after he left that mental health facility in July after about 2 weeks, and why wasn't there more follow-up? I'm sure the people...
Really?
Community.
Somebody said, let me see who said that. Scott said a neighbor said his whole family was weird. People avoided them. Interesting.
The people who have lost loved ones, that's the question they would want to have answered.
And Aaron, we're sitting here and Brad is laying it out for us, and Pierre is talking about, the postmortem that is going to have to happen. I can't help but be struck by the fact that we've had this conversation so many times before. And it seems to me, in recent recollection over the last year or two, there have been many of these situations where there were, I don't mean literally red flag laws, but I mean red flags that were seen by people. And yet the shootings continue to happen. There is not going to be a trial here. It seems, by all accounts, that Robert Card, died by suicide.
Died by suicide and acted alone, it appears. And the fact that his body has been found now indicates that in all likelihood there will not be a criminal trial, which, among other things, in addition to seeking justice, does give the community the benefit of having law enforcement lay out all of the evidence and everything they know. We'll see what law enforcement's prepared to share, but the digging that would ordinarily continue, the search for the evidence, and all of that goes into that, is now much more relaxed and less urgent, and it without the benefit of a trial, you wonder if a complete narrative will ever fully be made public or known.
Right, and then you wonder what's better for a family that has just lost a loved one in this sense, knowing that someone's going to be held accountable, getting answers through a trial, or knowing that the person is dead. I mean, either way, whatever we talk about here, whatever we figure out about this person, the end of the day, their loved ones are gone. And who knows what, nothing can make it any better, and there's no reason for it.
At least with the suspect now being found dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to law enforcement sources, the community can at least come out of its lockdown and begin to grieve and comfort one another. 18 funerals are going to have to be planned for victims who range in age from 14 to 76.
In a very small town, very close-knit community.
70,000 people had been under lockdown. They can now begin to heal.
All right, let's bring in Trevor Ault, who is at the scene of one of the shootings Wednesday night, the bowling alley. Trevor, the news is spreading there, I would assume, quickly.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil, especially as just a few hours ago, people were finally told by the officials that they were welcome to go about their business. They were welcome to reopen restaurants, gas stations, pharmacies, and things like that. And this is certainly, as you and Aaron have been talking about, going to bring a mixed bag of emotions for this community. Absolutely, there is going to be relief. I mean, you're talking about mourning. Aaron mentioned 18 funerals, 30 victims, still people healing in the hospital here. And yet today, this evening, they had a online vigil that was planned because they weren't allowed to gather. Now, we talk over and over again about how we have covered a lot of these mass shootings. This is certainly the first one that I've covered where that kind of communal grief was prevented in the immediate aftermath because of the shooter able to at least temporarily get away. In one sense, the fact that this search is over, that is going to absolutely bring relief for all the people who were still afraid. I heard that from a survivor who was here in the bowling alley when those first shots were fired. When I asked her explicitly, how do you feel?
So that whole gun instructor thing hoax, I heard that, well, one person was saying it wasn't accurate, but that's what was being reported. So I don't know what's accurate anymore. I'm glad I didn't jump. I was actually I almost thought about coming on tonight to talk about a different story, but my friend was like, nah, I'll leave it for tomorrow in case something happens. And literally, boom, something happens. So we're just waiting for the press conference. Gonna see what they conclude. I wonder maybe they'll be able to give us a motive. And I don't know, but people like this too. I mean, I guess I guess mental health, right? I guess there's some part of that. How much of it is mental health? I mean, it gotta be mental health part of it to do some nutty shit like that, but also, well, I mean, if he was hearing voices, but then, I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, I guess these people can't help themselves. Well, like, they think about the message that you're leaving your son, or the embarrassment and shame, but I guess they can't think like that for his own son, or at least for the sake of his own son, not to do some wild ass nutty shit like that. But
was on a home in Bowdoin where police had asked media to turn off the lights, to get inside their cars, and there was a very large police presence, including armored trucks and canine units, all there searching residences associated with Robert Card. So, and that search was hours long. In fact, hearing police over the bullhorn saying, "Come out with your hands up," which we noted, you know, that's really part of the process. It's really kind of.
Shirley, thank you for the super chats earlier. I'm sorry I missed it before I ended the stream. It's Erica. Thank you for the super chat. News conference at 10, 2200 hours. So we're going to definitely check that out. It must be on the other channel, Shirley, your super chats.
For now, we see, where the search in fact ended. And I think it'll be interesting to hear from law enforcement about how these individual pieces sort of came together to lead them to where his body was ultimately found.
We know a big piece of that was the hundreds of tips that were submitted by the public, more than 500 tips, and the police officials that we heard from in a briefing between 5 and 6 earlier tonight saying that they were following up on all of those tips and small tips and ones where people were just calling and saying, hey, I have a vacant home, maybe something that you'd want to search and check out. And so whether it was one of those tips that led police to the suspect, to their finding tonight that Robert Card, the suspect in the Lewiston shootings at 2 locations, was found. We're expecting to learn more about that coming up here now in less than 10 minutes at that news conference from police. But you were talking about Bowdoin and the search that was happening last night. As that was happening, I was in Lewiston outside this bowling alley, the just-in-time bowling alley, where we know 7 people were killed there inside, and those stories emerging of the victims. And as we talk tonight about the suspect being found, certainly don't want to lose sight of.
So that the recycling center is pretty close, right? I think the vehicle was where he left the vehicle. So it's like I guess Hoke said, I guess he walked over there. I think the vehicle was left by like one of those ramps or something around here. I thought it was like a ramp or something, a boating thing. I thought the vehicle was left there. And then this is one of the recycling centers. Lewiston City Solid Waste Department, Maine Recycling Corporation. 1.1 miles.
I think, again, of course, it's going to take some time, and it doesn't heal all wounds, but it is going to be essential. And for 48 hours of the most traumatic thing that these people, most of them will probably ever experience, the fact that they were kept apart from that is another cruel twist of the knife, Phil.
Yeah, I'm from New England, and every time you go to Maine, there is that laid-back, good-hearted spirit that you come in contact with the folks. So I think you're absolutely right about that. Trevor, hang on for just a minute. Stand by. I want to bring in Jared Bergwijn, former San Bernardino, California police chief and ABC News contributor. Jared, thanks so much for taking the time. Does this ending surprise you?
It does not surprise me. It fits the profile that we know that most of these shooters end up dead. Very, very few of them were ever held to answer for the actions that they did. So no, in and of itself, it doesn't surprise me. Unfortunately, it took a few days. And as the other commentators have mentioned here, that has delayed the healing process. That has delayed some very, very important things that need to take place in the community. And now they're able to shift their attention to that.
Is there significance, you think, about authorities telling us where the shooter's body was found near where he had worked? Is there significance there to you?
10.
Well, you know, Brad had talked about it when he did. It is absolutely true that these shooters quite often, or people that carry out these attacks, quite often go to something that is familiar to them.
FGHIJ. We're good. I've got 2 good. It's what, 10:57 now? So why am I off on my time? Okay. Okay. Thank you all.
Well, rest in peace to those deceased. Condolences to the family. They posted all the names. We've talked about the victims a few times, pulled up the pictures and stuff. But I just retweeted it. These are all the names and ages here. And I can't even believe there's a 14-year-old in there, man. Roland, Peyton, Joshua, Brian, Joseph, Arthur, Max, Stephen, Thomas, Michael, Jason, Tricia, William, Aaron, Robert, Lucille, William, Heath. That's kind of true, Nicole. Oh, Nicole said, I'm sorry, but a lot of it has to do with health insurance companies. They need to cover longer stays of the house. They don't cover shit. These insurance companies, it's the only thing it does is, well, maybe like you get a deductible, which is better than having to pay a full hospital bill for whatever amount of time. But I feel like they do screw you. There really is no good insurance anymore. The best insurance I ever had was like when I worked at the hospital. And I honestly feel like depending on the type of care that you have, the type of insurance that you have is how good they'll take care of you. But they won't go out of their way if they know that they're not going to get paid. I guess I'll let this play in the meantime.
News conference that we're told is happening at the top of the hour just a few minutes from now. Now that the person who police say was the shooter here has been found, as they tell us, dead, where does this investigation go? How do they move forward with this investigation now that they won't obviously have any answers given to them by card?
Well, all the resources now will shift to, again, looking at the final days of this man's life, looking for anything, if anything exists, that would suggest a motive. Now, when you have people who are mentally unstable, sometimes they never find a motive. But you heard the commissioner, director of public safety today talk about how they were trying to get access to all of his computers. We know that they recovered a mobile phone in his vehicle, or not in his vehicle, but they recovered a mobile phone associated with him. There will be an effort to find out where he got the weapon. All these details are important because the other thing that happens after these cases is that agencies like the Secret Service, FBI, in addition to the state officials, will do analysis to add to the growing body, unfortunately, of evidence in cases, so they can better understand and the profile of the people that do these kinds of things, how they act out, that sort of thing. So there's still a lot of work to be done. But what I sensed from the source that called me, it's super relieved that the people of that community can now stop living in fear and begin to mourn.
All right, I want to bring Aaron Katersky back in. Aaron, we're just coming up on the top of the hour. We're told there's going to be a news conference. I believe at City Hall there in Lewiston. Reset for us. Tell us how we got to this point this day. At the beginning of this day, there were lockdowns still in place.
There were lockdowns still in place, and the authorities were still saying that the suspect, Robert Card, was armed and dangerous and not to be approached. But they did begin to shift their focus to the area where his vehicle had been found in nearby Lisbon, Maine, at a boat launch. They wanted to put divers in the water. In fact, I'm told that the Vermont State Police was going to provide a dive team. That's no longer needed. They were prepared. The electric company that controls the dams on the river was going to lower the water level and adjust the current to make it easier for the dive teams to get into the water. They also wanted to bring some of the Forest Service in Maine to bear to do a grid search of the woods along the river bank. And not far away, we're told, is where they found the body of Robert Card, dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, sources say, at a recycling center where he used to work. So the authorities had narrowed in on that area, it seemed.
That's good. That's a good point, Hoax. That's a good point. That's more ballsy than me. I actually thought about joining one time in the military a long time ago. My mother cursed me out or whatever. Wicked Stitchers, thank you for the super chat. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you're having a decent Friday. I have no baby this weekend. And I think tomorrow I want to finish this video for Mondays. Missing Mondays. Yeah, they say self-inflicted gunshot wound. I don't know. I wonder what those people think in their last moments after they did what they did. Do they feel remorse? Do they feel regret? Is like this guy killing himself? Is that just what the voices are telling him, or is that guilt or remorse, or is that not wanting to face his consequences? Hey, Cynthia, good night. You comment on Maine still police tweet me. Oh no, Colin, you know what happened? I got confused because I thought they were talking about, because they're supposed to do a press conference tomorrow at 10 a.m. When I tweeted that to them, when I said, like, I think you guys meant 10 a.m., I didn't realize that this guy was found. And so people started replying to me. They're like, no, they're actually talking about now. I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, I got a bunch of comments on that. Kicked back into the streets. Yeah. To show what, Kim? Wait, GoFundMe said he was also in a relationship too that broke up. Yeah, so he was married and he had a relationship, I guess, right? Recently or something. He never showed signs of hearing voices until this past summer 2023. It's Erica. Thank you for the super chat. Says thanks for always being here for us, even if you have things to do, leaving your stream up. You're appreciated. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Really, really nice of you. Thank you so much. I was just laying in bed talking to a friend. I was gonna force myself to edit that video tonight, but I'm like, I'm just tired. I'm gonna edit the thing tomorrow and have it set for Monday. The thing too, I wonder is like if somebody's going through like this type of episode, like hearing voices and stuff, and you tell them to get help, and you tell people. I mean, you can't force anybody, right? Unless they're Baker acted, you can't force somebody. But there was some video that I had heard. They said that I thought they tried to contact people to warn them that like he's having these issues. Yeah, sign language lady, she goes hard, yo. She goes hard. She's legit. There have been people in the past that have been caught faking it. She's clearly legit. And it's pretty crazy, the ones that are fake and they got caught. Ceasefire now. By the way, the whole thing with Gaza and Israel, the last time I checked, for anybody that's following that, you know, the potentially the end of the world type of thing that could be happening. The last thing I saw today is that first of all, they have their own YouTube page, Israel Defense something. And they were talking about how they're about to do the ground invasion now. Let me see. Israel. So it's about to go down. And what they were saying is that supposedly Hamas they're like held up in these hospitals, but like in the basement of the hospitals, basically like using civilians as shields and like going in these underground bunkers, but at the hospitals, hoping that they don't get hit. So I haven't, it's been hours since I've looked, but they were getting ready to do this round thing. Giselle, thank you so much for the membership. Claire, thank you for the membership. Do they have that ASL interpreter at a music festival? I feel like I've seen him. Wasn't there one that was with a rapper and she started dancing? What's his name? Maine's Manchurian Candidate.
And then supplying guns from one crew to the next crew to kill each other. Who? Oh, that's right. Y'all was too busy chasing rap careers. This shit over here too real for y'all. Did you even get the news? The shooting in Las Vegas, 2 women see the guy walk right into the building with an AR-15 and ignored walking into the same building? Nah, I didn't see that. YV. What a brown doodle hole?
What?
Oh! Did you hear what they just called conspiracy? Woo! Share this live, man. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to keep it up. Share this live and make sure y'all hit the like button. Because 9 times out of 10, I know we're going to have a problem.
We're learning a lot more tonight about the man police are looking for, Robert Card, who struggles with mental illness, might become the basis for his deadly outburst. And for the first time, law enforcement sources are...
Now, what I want to say to y'all, just in case they don't say it in this short clip, he suffered from mental illness. He told the Marines, the Army, whichever one, the government, that he was going to shoot up the Army base.
He did.
Right?
He did.
They put him away in a mental house for 2 weeks. They knew this dude was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because he went through them ahead of time and told them, so they say, right? So let's keep that in mind. I'm gonna have a Fields Day with this, man. Y'all put your flags on, share this live. I'm gonna say this because so they'll flag everything that I say to slow down. That red flag next to my name.
The alleged gunman had an interest in online conspiracies. Eyewitness News reporter Tom Negaman digging deeper into that part of the story. He's in the newsroom for us. Tom.
Yeah, Bill, officials telling us more about his mental health issues, recently saying he was hearing voices at one point.
Let's listen to what they called online conspiracies.
Allegedly threatening to shoot up the base where he was stationed. And tonight, they say they've already learned a lot from tracking Card online. As the search continues for 40-year-old Robert Card, law enforcement sources are confirming more details about his background, including his online habits and an interest in conspiracy theories on issues like a possible financial meltdown, gun rights, allegations that Democrats engaged in election fraud in 2020.
So, let me get this straight. All of these countries didn't drop the American bill. All of these different countries didn't drop the American dollar bill. BRICS, China, Russia, and all the rest of them. So now it's a conspiracy that we go into a financial collapse and the dollar bill is about to collapse. See, it's a conspiracy only until it happens. Now, what y'all got to understand something, right? Under the Patriot Act, when they say that you carry the tales of conspiracy, they can lock conspiracy theory. But yet right in front of our faces, we watching the meltdown and inflation of the dollar, but yet they said that he was into conspiracy theories. Keep in mind, if they activate the Patriot Act, they can lock you up and put you in jail and charge you as a terrorist. Are you not entertained? Listen to the wordplay of their Manchurian Candidate.
This is Hassan Campbell. He's a big YouTuber. I used to watch this guy a long time ago. I sometimes tune in every now and then. There's a kind of a long, messed up history with him, but I just saw him live right now, and I was kind of curious what he had to say about it. Hassan Campbell. No, he's not a sovereign citizen. Though I have, no offense, yet to see a normal, regular sovereign citizen. I've never seen like a decent sovereign citizen type of person. I don't know. It was kind of quacky. This guy said he's not entertained. Oh my god. Yeah, I just... No, he's right about the inflation stuff and all that. I agree with that. Oh, for sure, I agree with that.
And conspiracies about COVID-19. We know more about those red flags raised here in New York. Card command directed to have a mental health evaluation at West Point, which experts call a sign of the system working.
The good thing was that he did get some treatment, you know.
Oh, they're going to blame COVID on this shit?
And they did identify these mental health issues and did try to help him.
I suggest that you go. We have an active shooter, and we're not sure where he's at.
Tonight, they still aren't sure. The NYPD already had hundreds of specially trained officers fanned out across town because of tensions in the Mideast. But they're also watching transit hubs now, just in case.
We are quite confident at this point that this horrific crime has no nexus to New York City.
But it now has an apparent link to online conspiracies and allegedly to a very troubled man, raising new questions tonight about gun laws and mental health.
A reframing of this discussion, not as a partisan political issue, but really as a public health one, is critical because we have to move forward. We cannot live in a society where our public safety is constantly at risk.
Tonight, law enforcement sources are telling us that will be part of the after-action report on this once Card is found, looking at what might have been done to keep guns out of the hands of a man the Army had already identified as mentally unstable. Sade?
Okay, thanks, Tom.
So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So what you're saying to me is that the military trained this killer. He's trained like John Rambo. You seen what John Rambo did, right? When he was pushed? So you telling me that this dude was trained like John Rambo, and he told them that he was going to air it out. He was going to kill everybody walking. Little bit Turner. Kill everybody. He told them he was going to kill everybody walking, and they released him into society. I'm having a problem with this, right? I need for y'all to follow me. Because we see this in the shows, no coincidence, right? So I need for y'all to follow me though. Because all this shit that I'm gonna talk about in my live is just on how. Let me show y'all something.
This is Hassan Campbell if you ever want to check him out on YouTube. Hassan Campbell.
Why these people allow a trained killer who they trained to kill to be released after he told them that he was going to kill. Meanwhile, right?
All right, the press conference starting.
My deepest gratitude of all the people of the state of Maine,
to these wonderful members of law enforcement who came from all over to help us solve this crime and put closure on this investigation. Robert Card is dead. Now I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Sawchuk.
I hope they do Q&A too. Oh, he's got to be talking for a while.
So there continues to be a lot of work that needs to be done here at the scene with the medical examiner's office. So there's a much more follow-up to what happened. But, sir, did you have a question?
Any indications that he had an accomplice, and how was he found?
I won't.
Oh, shoot. Oh, I thought that was just me.
Be able to answer. I didn't state that we had searched that area before, so.
Her face. So, I mean, I don't know. That didn't say much. I'm glad this guy is caught, or really they found him, I guess. He already killed himself, apparently, offed himself. But, yeah, I'm glad he's found. I don't know how those families feel. I don't know how you would feel going through something like that. Or be pissed and angry, or what I don't know. As far as this killer.
What happened during the shooting? It just seemed tonight the governor and all of the officials, I mean, she literally breathed a sigh of relief right before she began the news conference and hugged someone standing right next to her. So the sigh of relief that you were talking about earlier on, that people are going to feel there and are feeling there, certainly the governor showed it this evening.
Absolutely, and you could see how this was weighing on her at
Natalie, how you doing? Say, have a good night. Be a good girl to your mama. Okay? Natalie, I hope you're doing good. Hola. I'm sleepy right now. I'm kind of tired. Probably gonna lay down. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because I was talking to my friend about this case. She was asking me about what happened with this story. Then I was telling her about the boy in the box story, and I was telling her some other shit too. She's like, what the hell is going on? And then there's this Doomsday Family, which I think we'll see how I feel tomorrow. I'm thinking of covering this story. I think we can come do like an hour or so. That would be on the main channel. I want to try to stick with the missing person stuff or whatever on the main channel if I can. Doomsday Family from Arizona last seen in Idaho with teen they believe is chosen of God. Father's desperate of answers. An Arizona family is desperate for their loved one's return after they abruptly brought thousands of dollars of survival gear, boarded a plane for Idaho, and cut off all communication because they believe the second coming of Jesus is imminent. So Blaze is with his mother, Spring, his 23-year-old sister, Abby, and Uncle Brooke, who is Spring's brother. Nobody in the family knows where they are. So they just took off? Wow. I was asking my friend, too, like, I wonder what, like, how does somebody get convinced to join a cult? Or, like, the second coming of Christ, right? And is that mental health? Is that a part of mental health? Or, I don't know, is that, like, the human condition of, like, being vulnerable and lonely? But at the same time, when you're kids and you're following in your parents' direction, I don't know how old the kids are. Blaze is 16. Reported missing to law enforcement. Because I just wonder, is it like are they all mentally ill? Is like a whole mental health thing going on there? Or is it like one person and they're all just kind of following in step? It reminded me of this family, the Siligerano family. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that, but this guy thought that the feds were after him. He thought the government was after him. The guy that worked at Microsoft. And so, you ever heard of the Siligeranos? The Siligeranos? Let me see. How do I pull this, sir? How do you spell this, sir? I don't even know, bro. I just weird ass name. There we go. Siligerano. Oh, they're actually fine now. All right, I guess the family's fine now. They up and disappeared. The guy thought, I don't know who was after him. He called the cops, and he just takes his whole family and they start running. And then there's like a nationwide search. People are looking, everything. They finally catch them, and they're like, "We're just running from the government." And the cops are like, okay. And they're like, "Yeah, we're fine." Okay, so I guess if you just want to keep indefinitely running from yourselves forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, I guess you can't. What is it? It's not illegal, I guess, right? If you just want to keep running from nothing. There's that. Let's see over here. All were okay and none needed any type of help. They were located in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, nearly a week after they reported missing. They made contact with the family. They said that they're okay. Okay. I guess that's it. Both of the Celegrano kids are on a spectrum. So that's interesting. So not only are they younger kids, but they're on the spectrum. And dad already seems like he's off one himself. Dad got some issues. Clearly calling 911 and all this shit. They're dragging your kids through this bullshit, going around the country and stuff because you think somebody's chasing you. But that could be, again, that could go back to that conversation of like, I don't know, is that something in the family that's undiagnosed? I was concerned for the safety of the family. The 911 call made to police, which he said there were people after him, alarmed her as well. Okay. That's it. Who knows? Who knows what happened to that family? But okay. Wish them the best. All right. I guess that's it. I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna get some rest. I guess I'll come back for the morning time. I guess we'll come and have another press conference in the morning. I guess and see what they have to say. The 16-year-old doesn't even believe the same as mom, uncle, and sister. They told him they were going to on a surprise trip for his birthday. Damn, we're gonna have to check out the other story too. I don't know what's going on with this cult stuff. Yeah, more Lori Vallow stuff, right? On the spectrum, that means I guess that means like a type of autism. There's a spectrum for autism, autistic. So I think that means they're somewhere on the spectrum. I think some people are more like functional and verbal versus some are like not as verbal. Watch there be like a chase in 20 minutes. All right, guys. Good night. Bye. Oh, Tina, I'm starting Caitlin Armstrong, I guess. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but Monday morning.